Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for The Promised Neverland episode 5. And I'm sorry this one's late, guys. I was basically over. Yesterday, what happened is I was basically over and I was having dinner with basically family. So yeah, that's basically the reason as to why this is late. And honestly, after dinner, I managed to get home at a reasonable time in order to do the review, but it was kind of one of those things where around the time I got home, I was just tired. I was just too tired in order to do the review. So I figured I'll just leave it for for pretty much tomorrow. So yeah, but like I said, now that I'm here, let's get into the review. And before anything else, I want to take a moment and appreciate just basically how basically thorough how thorough we basically see Norman's plan was in order to expose the spy was. I mean, I thought it was I thought Norman's whole plan of exposing the spy was impressive in the manga, but here again the anime, it's actually kind of dark how in terms it's actually kind of dark in basically how basically thorough he was and how and almost how pretty much suspicious he was. Like he suspected everyone he basically saw as a suspect. So yeah, Norman himself, he wasn't slacking for sure. And in a way, I think we can say that in a way that pretty much that just how cautious, just I think in that amount of caution and the ability to think ahead is almost necessary. And something like that, which made the reveal of what Ray's been planning all the more impressive, because Ray has look, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to undercut anything that pretty much Norman did in this episode, but what basically Ray has been like what Ray has been planning, like with everything that Ray was planning all this entire time, like he's been acting as basically a pretty much double agent, but he's been doing some. And he's been acting as a double agent this entire time in order for the sole purpose of escaping. But one thing that really impressed me about Ray in this episode is that he's been doing something I'm surprised that Norman didn't think about doing yet, which is he's learning a lot more about the outside about the world that's from about the outside world that's from beyond Gracefield. And in many respects, I think learning about the world that's basically that's from that's from that exists anything outside of Gracefield is more important than any sort of escape plan in itself. Because in a world with demons, you definitely got to learn of what kind of resources and technology that you're going to end up having at your disposal in order to survive. Like in a like when it's basically kids, when it's dealing with kids against like demons. I think having the ability in order to survive is like the biggest thing to take into account for sure. And yeah, let's talk about Ray's little condition for becoming pretty much strictly Norman spy. Because that's because because with what we because with Norman's with basically in terms of Ray's little condition, it's actually a little bit of foreshadowing in itself, where it's gonna turn into a very unique situation where both Ray and Emma are gonna get what they want when shit finally does hit the fan. And the thing is, with basically everything that Ray says, with basically with the way Ray that basically presents everything to Norman about just having them about having the old about just having like the three of them and maybe Gilda and Dawn escape, like it's one of those things where we can pretty much hate Norman all we can pretty much we can basically hate pretty much Ray all we want for how cruel and in some ways I guess a little bit of a glee and sadistic he's acting, but the fact is everything that Ray says isn't entirely wrong either. Like it's gonna be impossible for pretty much everyone to escape, and thinking that everyone is going to be able to escape is just idealistic, because if you look at everyone at Gracefield, like a good majority of them are like are in the ages of 10 to 12, but then we of course also we but for every one of those 10 12 kids in this orphanage. We also have just many who are even younger than that, and the younger kids are the ones that we definitely need that are needing to are needing to be kind of are needing to be in a way taken into account because of course being younger they of course are the ones who are gonna slow the older kids down. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be possible for everyone to escape. Um, and 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 so also and also looking at what Ray says in this episode, I'm really kicking myself for basically not even realizing sooner of how the escape itself would play out when I read this in the early stages of the manga. Like suddenly I'm kind of like, and maybe because I am a manga reader, but suddenly looking at this I'm like, huh, why didn't I recognize this before? Like it was so obvious right in front of my face. Like, damn, like yeah, there are a lot of small details. I guess I'm kind of noticing now that I didn't really think about all that heavy when I was reading the manga. But yeah, but yeah, there's definitely a lot to look forward to for sure. Um, Now let's talk about Norman's nightmare, because I will admit it was a little toned down. It was toned down quite a bit compared to the manga, specifically around the part where the jaw demon appears. Like, because the scene itself, it was cropped. Like the scene where the jaw demon appears, it was cropped in such a way that it left out that it left out a lot of the deform that it left out two key elements. It left out the on the top of the jaw demon's head. It was a deformed face of basically is Isabella, as well as complete and on the side from the jaw demon, on the side of the jaw demon, there's actually a bit, there was we also saw a very demonic looking, pretty much sister crone that was on all fours. They of course cut they also cut that out completely from the nightmare. And but so yeah, that's kind of two things that I would have liked to see, but they did kind of just played a little safe with that. Um, Having said that, the imagery and lighting, it was still still set up a very creepy and foreboding feeling within me. In fact, the pretty much early on when we see all the orphans. In fact, the part where we see in fact, early on when we see all the orphans' dead bodies, that I think that was at the point where that was actually one of the points in the nightmare where I think it was done a little better than the manga, because what basically because in that particular moment, I noticed that what the anime did is that they kind of accented the anime accented it was basically the red it was basically a lot of the red in the roses, so it just kind of accenting that one simple color. It actually it made it a little creepier. Like I was starting to feel a little bit of goosebumps in that particular moment. But like I said, when the actual demons appeared, that was kind of at the point where the creepiness kind of got a little toned down for me. Um, and so yeah, but and I gotta tell you, after learning the truth, I think it's fair to say that Emma that Emma is very close to snapping. Like when you see that whole thing of Emma saying please don't, when Emma is there pretty much begging Ray in order to trust her and not betray anyone. You can see in her face that Emma is in her own way broken. Like Emma is ready to snap, and it's one of those things where he almost fears as to what it is that's what's gonna happen in order to set her off. Like at this point, anything can pretty much happen, and it proves that that witnessing as to what happened with Connie, like something fractured in Emma at that moment. So I if it happens, I can only imagine what seeing anyone die in front of her is gonna do, honestly. And yeah, it figures that the episode will cut off right when it figures that the episode will cut off right at the point where it's basically hit a peak. Because trust me, if you thought everything that was revealed in this episode and everything that happened in this episode was intense. What you're gonna see what you're gonna see at the other end of that door is in its own way terrifying. Basically, like every bit of reveal of what's behind that door is gonna be like, holy crap. And but yeah, and actually, I'll say that the one thing I'm kind of surprised. One thing I'm like, okay, I've read the manga, so, but one thing I'm a little surprised by is that we didn't get much, and I've read the manga, so I said this too when I was reading the manga, but one thing I'm surprised by is that we didn't get much more info on the tracking devices. The episode it basically set up a little bit on the tracking devices, but it didn't touch on it again after that for a while. So yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Annie Lister, Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.